Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is our legislative session, June 20th, 2024. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Mr. Secretary, please proceed with roll call.
Mayor Hempkins.
Present.
President Monroe.
Present.
Vice President Rollcloud. Present. Councilor Beatty.
Present.
Councilor Trueheart.
Present.
Councilor Trent.
Here.
Councilor Peaks.
Present.
Councilor Johnson is excused. Kilkenny Law Firm.
Present.
Pannoni Engineering.
Present.
Tax Collector Hughes.
Tax Collector Hughes text about her absence today.
And Finance Director Nichols is here. Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. All right, before we move on to our Citizens Forum, I want to welcome everyone and say Happy Pride Month for everyone who belongs to, celebrates, or is an ally of the LGBTQIA plus community. This fun group gets to celebrate the entire month in the summer. They picked a good one. Much like the African American community, you have suffered wrongs, and I'm happy to see you freed. As Black people, we welcome everyone to our table as we know what it feels like to be forced out of the room altogether. So speaking of freedom, Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a bittersweet holiday for me. While it is a celebration now, the freedom it recognizes many of our ancestors were denied when it should have been a right. I'm thankful today, but horrified at how long it took to even be recognized. While we celebrate, we must remember that freedom is also a responsibility. We must uplift those in marginalized communities and work to bring opportunity on this road to equity, where descendants of formerly enslaved populations have been overlooked and left behind. When one of us gets a foot in the door, we must break it down for others to come through. While I'm thankful for the diversity within our community, let's not forget that there was a time when people that look like myself and my colleagues were not welcome here in Yeadon. Now that we are here, let's work together to ensure the success of this community for generations to come. Freedom is having a choice. You can choose to assist us in achieving these goals. You can choose to pull our coattails privately when you know that we're doing our best publicly to restore greatness to this community. Don't just bring us problems. Come to our table with solutions. Sit at the table with us and let's uplift ourselves together. To our allies, use your position to help us get ahead. Where diversity is present and thriving, we all benefit. We all have a perspective, but our goals, especially for diversity in this community, should be common. So, before our Citizens Forum, I would like to remember the importance of our 2020 Juneteenth resolution, especially in this community. In honor of those who didn't make it, who are in the struggle, supporting the struggle, or working towards positive, constructive, and uplifting change, let's have a 30-second moment of silence to reflect on how your voice, your actions, and yes, Mayor, your prayers will move this community forward. Thank you very much. Before our Citizens Forum, our solicitor has a message for our public and the community.
I don't think my mic is on, but I wanted to remind the residents that the public forum is limited to 3 minutes, as well as please state your full name and also that you are a resident of Yeadon Borough. before speaking.
Okay. Thank you very much. So first up, we have. Okay. We have
Time's up.
already Blair Wilson. Right here at the mic, please.
Hello? Oh, okay. Good evening, council members and residents of Yeadon Borough. My name is Blair B. Wilson. I am a 33-year resident of Yeadon Borough, and I'm asking for your help in improving the safety of our residents. I live on the 500 block of Laurel Road, and we are in need of speed bumps for our street because cars routinely move off of Church Lane and come down Myra, turn on Myra, and then turn onto a Laurel Road, barely stopping at the stop sign at the end of the block, and they will speed up our street routinely. And our street signs are listed at 25 miles per hour, and we also have a blind pedestrian on our block where there's a sign listing the blind pedestrian. Also, at the end of our block, we have a daycare center, Caring Heart Daycare Center, and Evans School right at the end of our block. And cars routinely blow that stop sign right in front of the daycare center and Evans School. Coming down Bailey Road, they blow that sign routinely. So, and cars just routinely, and a motorcycle the other day, speeding up the block, you know. And I'm in fear of our kids at the end of our block and our residents. So I would like you to be proactive in this and not reactive when something happens to someone injured there. So please I would like you to be proactive in this. And I would like to have the type, I think I just heard that they outlawed the staple type that people can pull right out of the ground. And some of the other streets also, we need to look at some of the traffic patterns because people are just driving at a not cautiously speed, you know, today. And unfortunately, a lot of people are on their cell phones doing whatever. And I think someone's going to get hurt, and I'd like to see that not happen. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, and next we have Liz Aleknavich.
For starters, I'd like to suggest that the borough solicitor review the concepts of slander, libel, and defamation with counsel. When a resident submits a resume to council for the purpose of volunteering for a position, it is highly inappropriate for a counselor to use that resume to denigrate and mock her constituent on a public forum. In her fervor, the counselor created fictitious content and was generous with her insults, providing ample substance for a defamation lawsuit. At the last legislative meeting, council voted to advertise a request for bids for a police towing contract, but that's not what was done, and it's not quite legal to vote for one thing and do another. Instead, a very burdensome and extensive list of demands was provided, a so-called request for qualifications. Prove your company isn't subject to code violation penalties. Prove your company hasn't been subject to criminal or civil penalties. How do you even prove that? How do you prove a negative? And doesn't our police department know how to do background checks? This wasn't a bidding situation as it was made out to be because the demand list includes the demand that the borough pays nothing for anything. This wasn't about the budget, so what was it about? If Councilor Roadcloud is concerned about cars being released when the car owner has outstanding parking tickets, as she mentioned at the last meeting, I believe that's an in-house problem. I believe people need to obtain release forms from the police department before a tow company will release a police tow. That's not the tow company's responsibility. Finally, when is council going to stop pretending it's acceptable for a police chief to change the police uniform without informing the community? No law enforcement professional could possibly think that's a good idea. It's been 4 months and not a word from anyone to the community. There's been ample opportunity from the last newsletter to the mayor's forum. This month alone, I've seen officers on the street with 3 different style patches, including the one that was retired 6 years ago and is readily available to any civilian to purchase off of eBay.
All right, thank you. Moving on to our meeting minutes. All right, the consideration to approve May 9, 2024 caucus meeting minutes. Can
Madam-
we speak to it?
It's my apologies because I didn't know.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the meeting minutes, and then you can turn your form.
Next time, you sign.
The next meeting, I can pick back up after, no?
No, I don't want to be out of order, so when I speak, it won't be out of order. So we'll wait. If I'm in order, then you'll be in order. It's okay.
All right.
Because I did not know. Don't want to have it again. Just fill out the form.
If you fill out a form, I can let you speak. I was just saying while you're filling out, okay. All right, thank you. So up for consideration are the caucus meeting minutes for May 9th, 2024.
Madam Chair,
Vice President Rollcloud,
I make a motion to approve the May 9th, 2024 caucus meeting minutes.
Seconded.
having been moved and properly seconded on the question. Hearing none, can we proceed with the roll call vote, please?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets,
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Up for consideration are the legislative meeting minutes for May 16th, 2024.
Madam President,
Vice President Rollcloud.
motion to approve the May 16th, 2024 legislative meeting minutes.
Second. Having been moved and properly seconded on the question. Hearing none, can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries. There ends our meeting minutes. And we'll move on to our mayor's report.
Thank you, Madam President. My report stands as submitted. I do want to underscore two things. The last mayor's forum on Tuesday, June 14th, we did award, gave service commendations for a number of individual heroism, and just want to thank the public for being a part. And I want to salute our officers, so we have a really good police force. With that being said, well, I'll just end it there. With staffing, we are up to full staffing, 20 full-time officers, 1 part-time. Mr. Rowland right there, Norman Rowland, who likes to volunteer for this assignment. He was one of our awardees as well, but we thank the police department. On this past Saturday, June 15th, we did celebrate our Flag Day, and I believe it was a great success. And just want to thank Councilor Nicole Beatty, and Roy Hunter, and the Recreation Committee for doing an outstanding job. And I'd like to give them a round of applause. It was a lot of work. And getting the band, getting all the vendors, getting everybody in line, getting all the insurances, there's a lot of things that has to be done. And we did have a decent showing from our county elected officials. Dr. Monica Taylor from County Council was here. County Sheriff Jerry Sanders was here. District Attorney Jack Stolzheimer, as well as the Speaker of the House, Johanna McClinton, and our Congresswoman, Mary Gay Scanlon, also was here. So we had 5 of our representatives, which was good. And all the other department heads and their departments, the police department, Chief Gianmarco and the police department, thank you so much. The fire department, Mr. Summers, and the fire department, thank you very much. The entire code department, thank you very much. And of course, last but not least, but Mike Pizzulo and Public Works, I think you were everywhere, putting your finger in every dike. Outstanding job, outstanding job. And all the counselors helping. I think there was, I will tell you, and I've been involved probably more than most in Flag Days going back almost 40 years. It's been a passion of mine. I've investigated, looked up, almost an expert on Flag Day, the Kerr family, the whole 9 yards, wrote articles, did podcasts. And this was probably the most together, cohesive Flag Day. I know it was difficult and getting everything, but it's probably the most cooperative, cohesive Flag Day that I've ever seen. And I also want to give a shout out to our president, LaToya Monroe. She does a lot behind the scenes, and I'm aware, even though you don't tell me everything. So I see your hand. I've been around long enough to block a couple of times. So, but you were very instrumental in keeping things moving, healing frayed nerves, and some of them were mine. But you did an outstanding job. I'd like us to give her a round of applause as well. There ends my report. Like a love fest, right?
I did. I would like, Mayor, speaking is your thing. So there was an article published in the Spirit newspaper that kind of indicated that Yeadon may not be the home of Flag Day. And I know that when the Kerr family came and when they spoke, not only did they claim us, they made it, even without knowing that negative article came out and existed. We learned a couple of new things about Flag Day that day, and every year we learn more and more about how significant Yeadon is in Flag Day. So when the actual owner of Flag Day is proclaiming Yeadon as his home, who are we to say anything otherwise? As a newspaper, if you're looking at Wikipedia or whatever, and their new article didn't quite retract, but just kind of updated as if the other article never happened. So, Mayor, can you share some of the newer things that we've learned about Flag Day and Yeadon?
And to underscore your point, it was Thomas Kerr, the grandson of William T. Kerr, confirmed that, he lived right here on Cypress Street for several decades before he died. If you investigate Flag Day or look at Flag Day, I like to put it from the standpoint, victory finds 1,000 fathers, JFK once said, but defeat is an orphan. So if anything's successful or of notoriety, everybody wants to take credit that was connected to it. So with that being said, there's 2 or 3 people who did something similar to Mr. Kerr in writing letters and trying to get Flag Day as a national holiday. He was not the only one. But if you look at all the recorded history, he did his the longest, and his was the most successful. He chaired the American Flag Day Association for over 50 years. He was living here in Yeadon on Cypress Street when in 1949, then President Truman invited him to the White House to have that legislation signed and to have him witness and to give him that recognition because he was the one that was most credited with making that happen. So it was acknowledged by the president. And not only that, what we learned new that I didn't know, his son said, you know, the White House sent a special train right here. I think it was Conrail at the time, but right at the station, at the Fernwood Yeadon station, to pick him up, for the train to go to 30th Street, where there was another special train, like precursor to Amtrak or whatever, to take him from 30th Street Station to Washington, D.C. in some kind of motorcade. We didn't know that, so that means he was pretty important. And that, I mean, the credit, the White House even acknowledged that. So because he was born in Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh claims credit for Flag Day because he was born in Pittsburgh, but he chose Yeadon as his home. He chose to live here, and he chose to spend the rest of his life here. So and he was a Yeadonite, an entrenched Yeadonite. Also, the other thing, I did know this, but he also, his grandson revealed this, that he's a charter member of Yeadon Presbyterian Church. He was one of the founders. He helped start this church, the church. I could write a book on Yeadon. I jog in Mount Moriah, and if you look at one of the things I've done is look at the tombstones. There's a lot of reverence. There's a lot of bishops. There's a lot of this was a very spiritual place. You could write archaeologists. They dig up things. They look at the dead. They look at who lived there. They do a dig, and I've seen that. There's 5 established churches here, and Yeadon Presbyterian was one of them. He was a man of faith. And he was a man of prayer. And there's a lot of people here who made a covenant to keep Yeadon a godly town. That's why it's a dry town also. So there are a lot of evidences. He was one of our forefathers who helped create Yeadon and make Yeadon what it is today. I've done a lot of research, and I live this. This is my life. But those are some of the things we found out.
And then the last thing that I'll add is that that I definitely didn't know was that Mr. Kerr was an athletic director in the Williamson School District. So the Reb Curry Athletic Complex that is also at Kerr Field, it is very fitting for both people to be honored in that manner. So we thank the Kerr family for staying in touch with Yeadon. We claim them, but they also claim us. So I completely appreciate that. All right. So thank you, Mayor. Does that end your report?
That ends my report, Madam President.
All right. Next, we will move on to the President's report. And at this time, I would like to recognize Mr. Hunter as well. Unfortunately, he had to travel for personal reasons and wasn't able to be here tonight. But I'd like to read to you what we have for Mr. Hunter. It has our flag on it, and it says, presented to Elmore Roy Hunter for the successful planning and execution of Yeadon's 75th Flag Day 2024. I feel. And Mayor, I could use your assistance for the next one as well, for the presentation, because
Certainly.
We know that this is a tireless and thankful role that we often take on. But also for Councilor Nicole.
So.
Commemoration of our 75th flag that we like to present you with the same award for the planning and execution of
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Is that going to make it in the newsletter?
Thank you.
And then we'll make sure that this gets over to Mr. Hunter.
Yes. Thank you, Gabe.
All right. Now that all the fun stuff is out of the way, we're going to move on to our manager's report.
Thank you, Madam President. My report stands as submitted. I will also make note that a lot of my report bleeds into the other departments that you'll hear from tonight as it relates to engineering, public works, the code, and the police department. So I'll just ask if we could move on to the considerations under the manager's report.
Yes, please. So can I, before we ask for consideration, I wanted to kind of just have a quick chat with the public about what the Planning Commission will be and what the Planning Commission will do. We have an economic development corps here in Yeadon, and they want to become active. And we've realized from other municipalities is that having a Planning Commission in addition to an EDC would be more beneficial. So we did put out feelers for members of our Planning Commission, and we will have some people appointed to our Planning Commission this evening. It was recommended for a 5-member board to work in conjunction with the Economic Development Corps. Yeah, there we go. So first up for consideration is the appointment of Earl Boyd to the Yeadon Borough Planning Commission, effective immediately, with the term to end December 31st, 2025.
Second.
So moved.
So move. So move.
And second, okay. You got that tennis match? All right. So having been moved and properly seconded, can we take a roll call vote, please?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
All right, that vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Up for consideration is the appointment of Patricia Shannon to the Yeadon Borough Planning Commission, effective immediately, with the term to end December 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Having been moved and seconded, can we proceed with the roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Excuse me, I cannot hear what you're saying. You're moving so fast that I can't hear what you're saying. I want to hear it from her. I know what she's paying since I can't hear you when you run your words together. I'm trying to keep up. Go ahead. I wanted to mention it because somebody may not be able to hear it as well. So that's why I have to ask you to speak up or whatever. I can't hear you.
Is anyone else
We'll
having
turn up
trouble hearing?
We'll turn up the mics to the borough
Just
manager.
maybe talk slower and clip your
I said-
words.
Okay, I said hearing me. Is anyone else having trouble hearing me?
That's what I meant, what she just said. I can't distinguish what you're saying because you're moving fast. And it's not your fault, but I can't hear you.
Mike.
Because I work with people of older
All right,
years,
I'm
and they
having
find
a
it
conversation
helpful.
with this gentleman.
They find it
All right?
helpful.
Miss Alec Davish, thank you.
Don't run your words.
Thank you, Miss Alec Davish, but you're out of order at this moment.
Mike has turned up the mic, and that might help also. I think that's
Sounds
better.
good.
Yeah, that sounds better.
That sounds much better.
Testing.
All right, that's
Good.
good to go.
Up for consideration is Antoinette Trueheart to the Yeadon Borough Planning Commission, effective immediately, with the term date to end December 31st, 2026.
So
Seconded?
Having been moved and seconded, please proceed with the roll call vote.
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart.
No, you abstain.
Oh,
She can abstain.
technically she
Or
can.
abstain,
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
The motion carries. Up for consideration is the appointment of Ronald Francis to the Yeadon Borough Planning Commission, effective immediately, with the term to end December 31st, 2027.
So moved.
Seconded.
Having been moved and seconded, can we proceed with the roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Up for consideration is the appointment of Iva Allen to the Yeadon Borough Planning Commission, effective immediately, with the term and date of December 31st, 2028.
So moved.
Seconded.
Having been moved and seconded, can we proceed with the roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
All right, that vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Up for consideration is the termination of employee with employee ID ending in 855, effective immediately.
So moved. Second.
Having been moved and seconded, can we proceed with the roll call vote?
President.
Yes.
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
All right. Up for consideration is the appointment of Rafi Cave to the position of Borough Manager, Secretary, Right to Know Officer at the salary of $90,000 per year, effective July 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Having been moved and properly seconded, can we proceed with the roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Abstain.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Anything else for your report?
That is my report, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Next, we're moving on to our solicitor's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Some things that our office has been doing is with the smoke shop ordinance. We have drafted it. There was feedback from the council by the draft prepared by Solicitor Marcini to add more restrictive language with restrictions within what is allowed within the smoke shop and its limitations of what the smoke shop can be near. And so the changes will be resent to council by Monday, June 24th. And then the next steps after is approved by the, oh, so sorry. Hello, everyone. My name is Brianna Bryant, and I am with Kilkenny Law. Thank you. Sorry. So, as I said, with the smoke shop ordinance, the next steps are, once the new draft is sent to the council, the code officer, and the administration, per the municipal planning code, the ordinance needs to be sent to the Delaware County Planning Commission, and they will provide comments and changes. And once those are implemented, then the council can move forward to advertise and ultimately enact the ordinance. Okay. Second, the other ordinance that we have been working with is the parking boot ordinance amendment. We did an amendment to the parking violation ordinance to include immobilization of vehicles. And so that ordinance was advertised in the Delco Times newspaper, and council will have a public hearing on it tonight and will vote on the ordinance. As well as with the ongoing issue with Frankie Francis and the complaint in equity, we were able to serve Mr. Francis in Philadelphia, and now we served him with the complaint, and now we're moving through the litigation process. And so that concludes my report, but if there are any questions from council, I can answer.
Madam President, I just would say, based off of the solicitor's report, under ordinance and zoning, that item B should be tabled until we go through that entire process. So I'll just for the record, there's no need for council to take action on item B tonight.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so next we will move on. Did the tax collector submit a report to you to be read?
She did. Via email.
I'm sorry, her absence was announced close to the meeting, so we'll return to that after. Can we pull that up, and we'll return to that after. Where are we? Our engineer's report. Our engineer also has a presentation for us this evening.
Yes, I have two items for consideration, then I'll do this presentation. The first item for consideration is that we took bids, and this goes back several years before I came on board, but the we would hire traffic planning and design to upgrade the signal at Church and McDade to create for McDade to be one way. It's been several years that they've been chasing that process, that permit through PennDOT. Got it through about 3 months ago, put it out to bid, and we had received 2 bids, one from Lenai Electric in the amount of $486,268.30, and the other from Armor Electric in the amount of $490,621.75. So the bids were relatively close for the 2 bids. As it went through the PennDOT process, PennDOT, as PennDOT would do, there's upgrades to the signal. There were requirements to improve all of the ADA rings at the intersection, some additional signage and striping, and that kind of, and just in general, traffic signals are just costing a lot of money. So how are we going to pay for it? And went through this with the borough manager earlier today. So you did get an Arley grant for this traffic signal in the amount of $315,000. And this kind of runs into the road program, which is going to be the second part of my agenda tonight. So you can follow these dollars a little bit. So that leaves a deficit of approximately $171,000 to fund the signal. Between our office and Mr. Pizzullo, we've been negotiating with Aqua for the repairs to Yeadon Avenue, and we've been successful with this in other communities. So we negotiated for Aqua not to make the repairs, and the borough would make repairs. And the reason that that's important is we tend to get additional monies that way. So Aqua has agreed to pay the borough $195,000 for the repairs to Yeadon Avenue, which the borough can then use at its discretion. So the idea is that we would use the grant funding and the Aqua monies to award the bid to Lenai Electric, should the council want to go that way. And I know that Yeadon Avenue wants to get done, so I'll get to that in a second. So that leaves a delta of an additional $23,000 still in the borough coffers. So the second part of my request tonight is to allow us to go out to bid for the 2024 road program, which would be to repair Yeadon Avenue. And we're going to do Yeadon Avenue in 2 pieces. So in 2024, we would do Yeadon Avenue from Redwood to McDade. And in 2025, we would do McDade to Allen. Now, the reason that we have to hold off on the McDade to Allen piece is that Aqua is not 100% complete. And they won't complete that last portion and have it ready for us to pave this year. And we estimate the cost to repave. So between your county aid monies and your liquid fuels monies, you have, and the additional monies from Aqua, you have $145,000. The cost to repave Yeadon from Redwood to McDade is $135,000. So you'll still be positive with dollars at the end of this whole. And I know that sounded very confusing, but I went through it all with the fees earlier today, and I think we're good with funding this project. So with all of that said, the first motion would be to award. Oh, by the way, I did say that I was talking to the chief and to Mike before the meeting. The signals both out here at Church and Bailey when we get to that, and now the signal that we will approve tonight, Lenai Electric, will be state of the art. It'll have preemption for fire trucks to go through. If you've ever seen the strobe lights, it'll have preemption. I don't think we have any lights within the borough that have preemption. It'll have all new handmans for pedestrian crossings there. Of course, it goes hand in hand with that becoming, with McDade becoming one way in the easterly direction. So I think we're in good shape with that. So again, another reason why that signal costs a little bit more. So the first motion tonight would be to award to Lenai Electric in the amount of $486,268.30 for the upgrade to the signal at the Church and McDade.
Okay.
Consideration to award the McDade and Church Lane ADA and signal upgrades in the amount that the engineer just said.
486, 268, 30.
So moved.
Seconded.
Having been moved and seconded on the question. Hearing none, can we proceed with the roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Thank you. And then the second motion tonight would be to allow our office to proceed with bidding the road program. And again, as I stated earlier, that would be for the complete resurfacing curb to curb of Yeadon Avenue from Redwood to McDade. We'll go out to bid on that and come back probably at the August meeting for consideration of the road program. So it would be just to allow our office to proceed with the bidding process for the 2024 road program.
All right. Up for consideration is the approval for proceeding and advertising bidding the 2024 Borough Road Program.
So
Seconded.
Having been moved and seconded on the question.
I have one question. You said from Redwood to McDade, which I understand. What about that half block from Redwood to Bailey? Is that done already, or?
No, there was no work done in that
Okay.
box.
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. I was actually going to.
Oh,
That's concrete versus.
Okay, you're going to replace the concrete section that was removed. We're not going to pave that, we're going to put back the concrete from Redwood to Bailey Road. Actually, we're going to start that probably Tuesday or Wednesday of next week.
Okay. I was just wondering what that missing piece is. Okay, all right, that explains it, thanks.
Okay, then you also mentioned from McDade to Allen, what was?
McDade to Allen will be done in next year's road program. And the good news is we'll be able to get that earlier in the spring because we kind of knew that's what we wanted to do, so.
I know they've done a lot of work in that particular area.
Yeah, see, the problem with that is they're not done there, and they're not going to be finished. PennDOT, in order to use liquid fuels funds, PennDOT has a cutoff of mid-October. So by the time they're Aqua's completely finished, and we go through the 30-day settlement period, we won't be able to get to that piece this year. So we'll get to that piece first thing in the spring next year. Plus, of all the dollars that I just went through, we'd be out of dollars to be able to do that this year anyway. But next year, you'll get a reallocation of both county aid and liquid fuels money, so you can use that next year.
Thank you.
All right. And that's, the portion that Councilor Trent mentioned, that's because there was already work done and now it needs to be repaid, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so can we have a roll call vote, please?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Rollcloud,
yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
All right, that vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Is that in your report?
No. Now I have to do this presentation.
Oh, I thought we had the presentation at the beginning.
So the other project that we've been working on, this is a rather large grant that you got through the state that is administered by the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission. This is the Cobb's Creek Parkway project. We have meetings literally every month with the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission to go over our progress on this project. And one of the requirements of the DVRPC and PennDOT is to have a public presentation of kind of what the project will be. We're not ready to bid this project yet. This project will not be done until sometime in 2025, so we're not ready to move forward with this yet. But I just wanted to make everyone aware of the project. Again, this project was the previous engineer had obtained a grant for this project, and it's been in the working for a couple of years. And the idea basically was for traffic calming on Cobb's Creek Parkway for a series of medians. So the project starts at Parnley Avenue, and if you just sort of follow me in a sort of left to right on the plan, you can see there will be two medians placed in that section of West Cobb's Creek Parkway. Then we come into the bend. The bend itself is traffic calming in its own right. And there'll be new handicap ramps and new crossings at Furnace Street. There'll be new handicap ramps and upgrades at Cypress Street. There'll be another median between Cypress and Conn. I'm sorry to the audience, I'm trying to get out of the way here. There'll be another median between Cypress and Connell. Again, handicap ramp upgrades and curb upgrades at that intersection. And then another median between Connell and McDade, and then upgrades to that intersection, and then just sort of striping to finish it out. So I think that the idea of this project was to have traffic calming, slow down traffic along Cobb Street. I think the ideas of the medians, the curvature of the road itself, I think will solve that. The drivers tend to go slow when the road is restricted. And that's the whole idea of this project is to put the medians in the roadway to narrow the travel lanes so that cars will have to slow down. The driver's vision will sort of force them to do that. You just awarded the traffic signal upgrades at McDade and Church. As part of what you just awarded, there are some signal upgrades that have to be done because you no longer will be able to make, you no longer will be, once this new project that you just awarded is in place, you will no longer be able to make a left on McDade, right? So the traffic coming down will only be able to, will be coming in an easterly direction towards Concrete on McDade. So what we just awarded will have minor improvements to the signal there, but this project will complete the signal improvements at that intersection. So really nothing for you, there's no council action necessary tonight. Just it's an informative kind of thing to promote yourselves and the public. There will be further progress on this as we move forward with PennDOT and DVRPC through the rest of this year. Again, not intended to put this out in bid. The only problem with this grant is it has a lot of red tape, strings attached to it. So it's a little more difficult to move this one through the process than other grants that we worked on. But it is a rather large grant. It was $1 million. So it's a substantial grant, it's a substantial project.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Can we have this, do we need to have this posted for the public?
Yeah, whatever you can do, maybe.
So if you could send us a digital copy.
I can do that.
And then if the people on Zoom who may not be able to see it, they'll be able
I'll
to.
send it to the people.
All right, thank you so much. There's your report. Okay. All right. Before we move on to our, I thank you, Councilor Rollcloud, for the reminder that we met in executive session to discuss personnel and other matters. Is there anything else I need to say for that? All right. Next, we will move on to our finance.
Thank you, Madam President. I do have the tax collector's report,
Yes.
and I will read it as the tax collector submitted. Number one, we are in a penalty phase for taxes. I encourage taxpayers to get payments in to avoid delinquent fees. Next, May taxes intake report does not include payments sent directly to Republic Bank. Number three, see attached numbers. I'll read those in a second. Number four, asking council to consider hiring administrative assistant for the tax office. So there is some knowledgeable. I thought something else. Yeah. Bounce check fee is going to be $50 moving forward. $20 of the fee will be returned to tax collector for administrative expenses. Well, we can discuss that. This is just what's in her report. And real estate collections for the month of May for real estate, $421,446.25. Borough trash, $37,290. Borough sewer, $53,817.70 for a total of $512,553.95. That ends the tax collector's report. As it relates to the finance report, I will say that we are starting the budget season earlier this year, as council has requested. So we will be getting with the various departments to start that process within the next 2 or 3 weeks. And we'll be putting out a calendar where we'll have some public meetings and finance committee meetings to have input as well from our residents. Beware of fraudulent activities. Unfortunately, we were almost fished here in Yeadon Borough. I will give Republic Fulton Bank credit. They were on top of it and were able to address the issue very, very early on. But we were asked to make sure that we notified the public to just be mindful of, your banking activities and giving out your account information, because it's just becoming a little more easier for individuals to gain that information. I do know that we have our firewalls here in place in Yeadon Borough. So when those emails come through, I just got one yesterday or the other day from an employee about changing their direct deposit information. I get them from you all too. You don't even know it. But we have the firewalls in place to address it, and just want to make sure that you said, yeah, you gave us a new account number. Only if they knew how much you guys make as council members, they probably wouldn't even want that. But at any rate, we are planning to do some sort of education just so that people are aware of those types of things, and especially our seniors. I know the district attorney's office in the county, they're doing things for senior citizens because they've been targeted a lot lately with fraudulent activities. With that, I ask for consideration of the 3 action items under finance, Madam President.
All right. Up for consideration is the accounts payable list for June 2024.
So moved.
Seconded.
Having been moved and seconded on the question, Mr. Trent.
Yeah, I noticed on the accounts payable, there's a lot of things related to Flag Day, but I know we also got donations or contributions.
Yep.
Can you give us an idea of?
I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Trent, because I actually was about to say that, and then you asked your question. So we are reconciling those things now. July, that will be presented. I know that cash on hand that we received, there was about a little under $13,000 in donations.
Okay.
But we have some more that are coming in. I only report on what actually came into our coffers, but we're still waiting for everything to be reconciled. So I will have that report for you all in July. The borough did budget $15,000. It was approximately a little under $30,000 for us to put on the whole event. So we kind of broke even if you look at it from the donations and what was budgeted in the borough's budget. But again, you'll have a full reconcile report for the month of July. I also want to make mention of one other thing as it relates to something on the AP list, because it stands out to me as a finance director. You see a payment, a large amount to Lynn Architect for, it was probably close to $190,000. And that's about the 3rd time we issued a check that large. So what I'm going to recommend is that we go back to them and or another company to talk about negotiating those fees, because right now the contract that's in place pretty much says that them reviewing the commercial projects here in the borough, they receive 50% of the fees that we receive as a borough. And that's excessive in my opinion. And I think that we should take some time to look at it. But I want you to know that if you see $190,000 on here, we brought in that times 2. But if we had either a commercial BCO on staff and or renegotiated the terms of that agreement, it would be more monies for the borough to keep into our coffers.
Any more questions on the AP list?
Also, we had quite a bit that we paid to Kilkenny Law. Was there any explanation for that? Looked like there were like 4 items on there.
A big piece of that bill was related to the Frankie Francis litigation that we just went through. They were served. Don't anticipate those billable hours. I'm gonna ask, I guess, a solicitor. Mr. Kilkenny's not here, but the vast majority of those fees were related to Frankie Francis litigation.
Yes, we drafted an extensive complaint in equity asking the court to enforce the citations that we have placed, that Yeadon Borough has placed against him, as well as because we wanted to properly get it served when previously the citations were being served in Yeadon and he was not receiving the service. And so we tried to go to Philadelphia for it to be served, and actually ultimately was served. But to do that, the Yeadon has to deputize an officer in Philadelphia and then the process. So doing all that takes a bit of time and effort, and so that is why you probably see the bills is there, as well as drafting the smoke shop ordinance and the other ordinances that we do on a daily basis.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I'll rest.
All right. Can we proceed with the roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Roquel,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Next up for consideration is the accounts payable additions list for June 2024.
So moved.
Seconded.
Having been moved and quadrupled?
Take this one.
I give credit to Councilor Trueheart, I heard it first.
Seconded. On the question? Hearing none, can we proceed with the roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Roquel. Yes. Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries. Next up for consideration is the cash balance report.
Motion to consider the cash balance report.
Second.
Having been moved and seconded on the question? Hearing none, can we proceed with our roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Roquel,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peets.
Yes.
That vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
There is my report, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Next, we will move on to ordinance and zoning. Up for consideration is the adoption of ordinance number 2024-003, regulating immobilization of vehicles.
So moved.
Second. Having been moved and seconded on the question? Hearing none, can we proceed with our roll call vote?
Actually, we need to have the public hearing for the public to discuss the immobilization of the ordinance, if the public has any comments about it.
Okay, so that's prior to the, okay. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for the regulating immobilization of vehicles ordinance.
Can you explain what that is?
Booting people with excessive amounts of tickets. So we had an ordinance in place and we had to just update it. A lot of things about it were outdated.
When you say tickets, an enormous amount of tickets, how do you, what is your determination? You're talking about parking tickets.
Yes.
Like the Tuesday, remove your car parking ticket.
There are various types of tickets that can be obtained or that can be issued by our parking authorities.
My reason why I ask that question is because I have lived at my location for 19 years now. It is a challenge position because I've had to go through at least two planning people to get parking on the side of my home. Because you don't know who I am, and that's why I said I would adjust it. But because you're talking about tickets, they moved, if there's no compliance and communication between the streets, the police, and the department for moving your car, and you put a ticket out, but you don't give the service that day requires, and it's numerous, because I count them all. It's numerous that we're not getting the service, but you're getting the ticket. So now you're putting the ticket, and then you move the place. Whenever they move the office from off of Church Road out to wherever it is now, Marshall Road, I think it is. Trying to comply with the rule on the block that if you're not servicing the block, you really should not have a right to write a ticket on a Tuesday unless you called so-and-so and such and say, well, we're not coming out that day. So code shouldn't come up the street putting tickets on cars if you have no intention of coming down that street that day for whatever reason, broken sweeper, whatever the reason, they know they're not coming down that street. So to put tickets on a car that they're not, we might be in compliance all week long and all month long. And you only come down that street one time in a month period. All you did was violate our rights as residents of that block because you didn't give us the service that you promised us for us to move our vehicles. And I'm not the only one in the entire area, but my disappointment, why I didn't put my name and stuff out, one is I didn't know the process. I've been outside for a half hour when I came to do things, so I'm not trying to pass the buck off. But my number one complaint was one, the man at Borough Road, he addressed Part A, but Part B was this thing, and now you're going to move me for tickets that should have never been issued to me since I've lived there for X amount of years. They shouldn't have, some of them shouldn't have been addressed. I had to move the sign back on my house because everyone on the block has a driveway. We are the corner house on Borough Road 410. So everyone that knows this area knows what I'm talking about. My wife has a Mercedes. I had a black Mercedes-Benz. I have a silver Equinox now, but I'm the Eagle fan, whoever knows. I'm the Cowboy fan. So you know my car, the people that come down my street. I'm right on the corner. I'm sure that's where you're going to take me. That's the problem.
That's why you got a ticket now. You should have said that first.
My taxes is still the same. So having said that, I'm not avoiding it. And the compliant portion, the challenge I have is that if there's no communication between compliance and the street and the enforcement, then you're just writing a ticket to people, then you're not, and you didn't do the job that we paid for that week. Because if you want us to move the cars every Tuesday, then that's about it. Every Tuesday, I should see the sweeper come down, and I'm retired, so there's no excuse for me not seeing it. And I'm telling you, I registered 3 in a row before. I just saw something on the bottom of the minutes about the sweeper being fixed or something, but for 3 weeks, I rode down the street, and we should have known there shouldn't
All
be a
right.
ticket.
Thank you very much. So the communication is the signage, and that's the only communication that will go out. There are many different reasons that the street will have to be, that cars will have to move. Sometimes there's road work, but if the street sweeper is down, it's just down until it's not move it for the street sweeper. It's move it because the sign says to move it. So in that instance, that is our communication. And we have this ordinance to consider those who have received multiple tickets based on what our parking laws are. So, all right. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak for the public hearing?
Yeah, Chief Jim
sorry,
Markle will take it up with you. Your particular, okay?
I saw a hand in the back.
What's the amount for the amount of tickets? Is there a dollar amount?
It's not I believe it's a number of tickets, and the number is 3. Right. And then you also have the right to appeal in court if you don't agree with the ticket that's been issued. So that's where our communication is.
Does this boot law kind of is the same that they have in Philadelphia? Because they have a boot law in Colorado. Do they? Is it kind of the same kind of a thing as far as violations? Yes. We know what it pays.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a ticket, you better pay it, or something will happen.
And Madam President, I will say that this ordinance, if adopted tonight, doesn't go into effect for 90 days. We note that too, because we have to make sure that we give the public ample time and opportunity to get acclimated to in the ordinance, but that is in the ordinance. A copy of it was posted on the web here in the borough, so it is not enforceable for 90 days.
So got 90 days to not be a Cowboys fan. All right. So if there are no more comments,
Somebody mentioned that they've seen children like tearing off tickets off cars. So that could be problematic if that's a new game for kids to, and I've found tickets on the ground before, so I don't know. So is there some sort of communication from the police department when somebody has outstanding tickets? Like, is there some preliminary action before booting?
No.
Maybe we should consider that.
okay, thank you. Are there any more public comments? All right, at this time, the public hearing is closed. And we will return to our consideration for the adoption. Ordinance number 2024-003, regulating the immobilization of vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
Having been moved and seconded and had a public hearing, are there any additional questions? All right, can we proceed with the roll call vote?
President Monroe,
Yes.
Vice President Roquel,
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart,
Yes.
Councilor Beatty,
Yes.
Councilor Trent,
Yes.
Councilor Peace.
Yes.
All right, the vote is unanimous, the motion carries. That looks like the end of ordinance and zoning, and we will move on to public works.
Madam Chair,
Vice President Roca?
one question for Mr. Nichols. With respect to the towing, the bids, when will that close?
Well, it will close actually on the 18th. So we did receive 3 respondents. The chief, Lieutenant Byrne, myself have explored a car. I think we're done at this point, but we just got done today.
Okay.
And because it wasn't advertised for it to be on this agenda, it wasn't for your consideration, but we will be making a recommendation.
Thank you.
Good evening, all. My report is as stands. I spoke with most of the Aqua and the stuff with Pannoni Associates. The one thing I do have is our e-waste is June 28th, Friday, between 8 and 2:30 at Public Works. And back to the Aqua. The Aqua is going to restore the concrete from Redwood Avenue to Bailey Road, but they will be in the process of restoring everything up to McDade Boulevard. How do I explain it? They're going to restore everything to, it's hard to explain. They call it binder. They're going to dig up what they have now and bring them to a harder surface, so when we go to repave, we can mill and overlay. So there will be a long process going on in the next couple of months with Yeadon Avenue. So there will be a website, next door notifications. People will be notified by mail, press releases. Everything's going to start actually by Tuesday for all of it, so everybody will be well informed. That's what I report. Any questions?
Madam Chair.
Vice President Roca?
So with respect to the notice to the residents when the work is going to start, how is that notification going to go out?
It will go out via hand delivery to each resident's door. It will go out via our website, next door, and we still have No Crime Watch. Okay, so it's going to actually be on the Citizens app. So it will be addressed, absolutely.
Okay, because we did receive several complaints about Aqua performing some services on Yeadon Avenue, and the residents wasn't aware that the water was going to be shut off, and that's a problem.
That's correct, and I've been in touch with Alan Roth from Aqua about this, and back and forth. There's 3 or 4 different contractors working this, and we've been in touch. There has been a couple glitches in the 11 and 1000 block.
So how will we ensure that the residents absolutely get notice for any work?
There's a press release will come out probably tomorrow or Monday for this. and I'm be on top of this. Everybody's going to be notified. Unless it's an emergency and something happens, they cannot notify. I know there was a dig the other night. It was an aqua dig. People were complaining about it. It was in the middle of the night. It's called a water main break. There's
It's
nothing we can do about
emergency.
that. Emergencies.
Right. Okay. So I just want to ensure that we make sure that the residents receive timely notification.
Correct.
Especially when water is being turned off.
Yes, exactly. 'Cause the other end, yes, the lower end down there at the 10 and the 1100 block has been difficult. Absolutely. With them communicating to us, but I'll be on top of it.
Okay. All right. So you're the man.
All right, to make sure that it gets done.
Sure.
All right, so the time for public comment has passed. All right. So the time for public comment has passed. The
If you
time
have-
for public comment has passed.
Any questions, any further questions can be relayed to Mr. Mike via email or after the meeting.
Thank you.
All right. So next. we can- Just break it now. We have public safety.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam President, and Council.
Good evening. Good evening.
The police department responded to 1,255 calls for service in the month of May. There were 4 criminal arrests in the month of May. There was 1 for institutional vandalism, a DUI with reckless endangering another person, a DUI with also driving under suspended privileges, and we had an aggravated assault and terroristic threat arrest. There was also 5 non-traffic summary citations issued. 3 were for disorderly conduct, 1 was for retail theft, and 1 was for public drunkenness. There were 853 parking tickets issued, 40 moving violations issued, and we had a blood drive. We had 12 people come out and donate, which was a nice time we had here. We also went live with InfoShare. InfoShare is the new police record management system. That was actually a grant from the DA's office. That went live this month. We also went live with our new updated body cameras. That was a grant from Speaker McClinton's office. And today we had the opportunity to meet with the Lieutenant Governor and also the Director of PCCD, basically to ask for more money for Delaware County police agencies. That was down, Jack Stolzheimer set that up for the local area chiefs.
PCCD.
Yes, the Pennsylvania Committee of Crime and Delinquency. Yes, sorry. And it went really well, and hopefully something will come to fruition with the actual money. I would also bring to your attention, the council, we're having a serious dog issue problem in Yeadon with people dumping dogs. Our last dog person, he no longer can keep dogs. He can actually pick them up for us, but he doesn't have a kennel to actually house the dog. So we have been using temporarily Brandywine Vet. It's extremely expensive, so I would ask your consideration to enter an agreement with Brandywine SPCA. Local areas, if you saw the news in Chester, they had an issue with dogs. I spoke to Lansdowne today. They actually utilized Brandywine SPCA. We reached out to Sharon Hill. They used the SPCA. They're unfortunately the only game in town, and if you saw in the news recently, they had all these shelters are having a $35 pick a dog, and it just seems like people are picking dogs, don't like them, and just for whatever reason dropping them. And it's nonstop, and it's affecting all of Delaware County. Honestly, I believe we might be the only county that does not have an SPCA program. Philadelphia has it, even Elk County has it, and it's affecting the county, and it's really affecting us.
All right, so I'll put this up if you pinky promise to get us some grant money.
I'm begging. You'll see. If I could spin those signs out front, I would spin this. I was joking with the DA when I saw him at an excellent job on Flag Day too. I should have touched on that. It was great. It was safe. The fireworks had me a little, my stomach was in a knot, but they went perfect. And yeah, no, everything was great, and everybody was safe, and everyone had a great time. But I saw the DA, and as soon as I walked to him, he did this. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, you're going to come in my wild again. I'm like, of course I'm going to come in your wild. And I even approached Madam Speaker. I said, I'm not going to go to that well again, but next year I'll go to that well. So
Great. We
I'll
have a
beg.
deal.
That ends my report.
Thank you very much.
Questions?
All right, so
Well, I'll wait for the consideration.
okay, up for consideration is to enter an agreement with Brandywine Valley SPCA.
So moved. Second.
Having been moved and seconded on the question,
Madam Chair.
Vice President Rowe.
With respect to when we're picking up the dogs, because Brandywine Valley SPCA is very expensive, and I understand, like, our hands are tied. So how do we ensure that if the animal is picked up and the owner of that animal subsequently go and pick the dog up from this facility, how do we ensure that we recoup some of those fees?
I'll make sure that we get the owner's information, and if we'll send out a letter, and if not, then we'll go to the solicitor. We have the chip detector, and I didn't realize this. If you actually adopt a dog from a shelter, and the chip comes back to the shelter, and if you abandon the dog, they'll take the dog back. So I actually had to run a couple dogs back to Action in Philly myself that they actually took back because the owners, I guess, just, arbitrarily dumped them. But, checking the chip, we were able to bring the dog back. That didn't cost us anything.
Okay. Well, it did cost us because we would have to pay for Brandywine to pick up the animal.
Yes.
So it did cost us. So how do we have something in place to make sure if the animal is claimed, that owner of the animal or whoever's responsible for that animal is somehow responsible to repay us something?
I would ask the solicitor, is that something that we can actually have you send out a letter saying, we spent $300, we want to recoup that cost for that animal?
I'm going to look into it, and if so, then we'll start drafting things so that we can bring it to council about how to recuperate the costs from the dog owners.
Okay.
For the money that we have lost, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam Chair, just as a point of clarity to the point that was just made, so if you are able to detect the chip and determine where the dog was originally adopted from, was that a situation where Brandywine came and picked it up and then it took back, or you just took it back?
I just drove to Hunting Park. I just drove down to Hunting Park and dropped it off myself.
So that was no cost to us?
Yeah, that was no cost. Just me driving down to Hunting Park.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Okay. So can we proceed with the roll call vote?
President Monroe?
Yes.
Vice President Rowe?
Yes.
Councilor Trueheart?
Yes.
Councilor Bede?
Yes.
Councilor Trent?
Yes.
Councilor Peets?
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The motion carries.
Madam President, if I may have Mike come back and talk about trash 2-day pickup. You want to give that schedule?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's the question. Thank you.
Listen, I'm going to say I believe 2-day trash pickup starts July the 8th, after the 4th of July holiday. So the trash will be picked up, recycling will be picked up, no recycling that week of July 4th. July 4th pickup will be on Wednesday. And then the next week, starting Monday the 8th, will be twice a week pickup. I got that right?
Days are different.
So is it posted on the website as well? Do we have it posted on the website?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Oh, I was not.
Yeah.
Oh, do we have it? Do we
It
have
will.
it posted?
We have it ready to be posted, yes.
Okay. All right, it'll be posted on the website.
It's posted on the first page, but we'll make it more prominent.
Yes.
Oh, it is posted and we'll make it more prominent. Thank you very much.
Good?
Good.
All right, so we will move on to our, where are we, fire department? Anything from the fire department? But you're here for the first time. All right. And I know, but emergency management, all right, and recreation.
So real quick, just thank you once again for all of the well wishes and your attendance. Thank you everyone who was part of Flag Day, part of the committee. Thank you so much, those of you who are here from the committee. Can't thank this guy right here, Mike P., enough for what you did on Flag Day. You and Roy just was like a godsend for me. So I really appreciate everything you did, Mike. Thank you, Mr. Nichols, for all of your help. And last but not least, my colleagues on council and my mayor, thank you for everything. I just want to talk a little bit about the direction we want to go. It was a beautiful day, but it did not go without a hitch. Nothing goes without a hitch. So we recognize that there were some things that we see that we can improve on. So that's the direction we want to go for next year. It was my first time planning the event, not my first time attending, of course, because I grew up here. But I thought it was a beautiful day, and I just want to build from there. So once again, thank you, everyone who played a part. So if you have any suggestions, I'm open to suggestions for next year. But what I want to do going forward for the remaining programming for recreation, I'll talk to Mr. Hunter and Mr. Nichols about where we are budget-wise. I would love to see something done for our veterans in November. Has to be before I go away for my birthday, though, because that's my birthday month, so we're going to plan that. And if we could do like just a winter celebration, non-denominational winter celebration, if we have any money left in our budget here at the borough. So we'll talk about that, Mr. Nichols, probably not until September, though. We're going to take a break for the remaining of the summer. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much. And with nothing else, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.
I wanted to say one thing, because I haven't been here before. The Kerrfield, excellent job, 100%. 100%. So you're not thinking about anti-gay.
Thank you.